The blue dye illustrates that everything has to go someplace. By taking simple precautions, you can decrease the transmission effectively and redirect it to much smaller distances and contain the droplet transmission.
What we were trying to convey is that masks do prevent the spread of these droplets that are generated during coughing or sneezing or speaking or singing or even heavy breathing. And so what was really most important was to make this meaningful to people so that they could see it, so that it became real. What the system is comprised of is a dummy which has a pressurized wave of air moving through it at the same velocity and pressure as a cough.
So what we have is we have a computer program that actually can make the cough. This is our mannequin head where the cough expels. So we put the Evans blue dye within the mouth, and then when the cough is produced, it then shoots out.
In the second simulation, we show the mannequin coughing into a hand. This is because most of the time when people think about covering their coughs, they go like this and cover it with their hand. What we wanted to show is two things. One is covering your cough with your hand is not really that effective at stopping the spread of droplets. A better way to cover a cough is to cough into the elbow. Elbow presents a larger surface which is going to block the cough. Another thing that an elbow is better for is that you don't get it on your hands. No droplets, no virus on your hands, and you don't track it all over the place. In the fourth experiment, we had the coughing head wearing a surgical mask, and that was very effective at stopping those droplets from spraying all over the place during the cough. A lot of people wonder whether a homemade mask is really any good, whether it does anything. So in the next simulation, we used a cloth mask that was made up of a cut up old t-shirt. That was also very effective in stopping the spread of those droplets. Then in the next experiment, we had the coughing head with no mask, and we had the other dummy head wearing a mask. We wanted to show that when you use a mask, droplets don't land in your nose and in your mouth as much as they would if you didn't have a mask on. And any decrease in the spread of droplets is going to be helpful in preventing a person from either spreading or getting infected by the virus that causes COVID-19. When the recipient of the cough is wearing a mask, but the cougher is not wearing a mask, you do get droplets all over the rest of that individual that's not covered with a mask. Really, the best thing is that if both parties are wearing a mask, because then the amount of droplets coming out of the cougher's mouth is diminished, and whatever does get through is going to be at least somewhat blocked by the recipient's mask. Velocity of a cough, you can definitely project droplets 5 feet or even farther. I think some of the studies have shown everyone's feet with the velocity of a cough, and we certainly did see that. So just staying away from people somewhat, yeah, maybe that's about 6 feet. That's still not entirely effective because you do see droplets that can travel, and particularly when we think about smaller droplets that may be generated by coughing or singing or something like that, those can travel farther. Very forceful droplets, large droplets that come out of sneezes, for example, can travel farther.
So the purpose of wearing a mask is multifold. To the wearer, it protects you from things that are in the environment. They also serve as a physical barrier from our fingers touching our face or going into our mouth or nose. When we cough, sneeze, or talk, it contains the droplets that are leaving our mouths and nose. It changes the direction in which it's leaving our mouth and nose, and it decreases the energy or how far they travel once it's out. It's important that the users understand that nothing is 100% effective, but rather wearing a mask is part of a series of behavior changes during the COVID pandemic that we can take that decreases the chances of us contracting COVID from another person. And that series of behavior changes is wearing a mask, practicing good hygiene, that's washing your hands regularly, keeping the surfaces that you interact with regularly clean, and then also practicing effective social distancing.